So young people, listen to your mamas today. The Bible even gives you a promise that if you'll listen to your mama and respect her, it'll go well with you. It's the first commandment with a promise. It'll go well with you and you'll live a long time on the earth. Listen to your mamas. Here's some other things about a mama. You know you're a mama when you got to count the sprinkles on each child's cupcake just to make sure there's not a fight in the house. Can I get a witness? You know you're a mama if you have to shave one leg at a time. You know you're a mama when you got to go to the bathroom to hide to be alone. True. You know you're a mama when your child throws up and you catch it. You know you're a mama when someone else's child throws up at a party and you keep right on eating. It don't even bother you. You know you're a mama when you've mastered the art of putting food on the plate just right so that no food touches other food. There's an art to that. You know as a mama that ketchup has got to be a vegetable because that's the only thing your kid will eat. Some would be like, yep, that's mine. You know when you're so focused on a mom and being a mother that you start cutting your husband's sandwiches into funny little shapes, it's time for a break. Can I get a witness, moms? You know you're a mama too when you stop criticizing the way your mama raised you. Hello. You know you're a mama when you fast forward the part when Bambi's killer in the movie. You fast forward that part. That's what mamas do. And you know you're a mom when you read the average 5-year-old asks 437 questions a day, right? And you're just proud that your kid is above average. So, yeah, momhood, it's hard. Someone done some work one time and finally figured out that if they took took all the time that a mom used to clean the house and do all the work, they broke it down. Anybody ever got an idea of what her yearly salary would be? Over $83,000 a year for a stay-at-home mom, if you just calculated all of that going on in a home. Well, let's talk this morning about mamas. I lost my mom about 3 years ago. So this is, I think, the third Mother's Day that I've had without her. It's weird, ain't it, when you get orphaned? It doesn't matter how old you are, when you get orphaned, it's just weird. And you start thinking back about the way your mama used to handle things. And I've thought about some of the things that have been handed down to me by my mama. And one of the things that I can remember the most about my mom was how she handed down a stern discipline to us kids when we were coming up. How many of you know discipline ain't even allowed hardly in the homes anymore? I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm about to walk down somebody's street this morning, and some of y'all viewing, I love you, but hey, get your nerves all tucked in. Because listen, I am a firm believer that the reason why we got trouble in our homes and in our schools and in our communities and in our culture is because nobody makes their children mind anymore. And I grew up down in Alabama, and the men that I grew up, the boys that I grew up around, their daddies worked in the oil rigs off in the Gulf of Mexico. And they would leave, their daddies would leave for weeks at a time to go work on the oil rigs out in the Gulf of Mexico, and they were left home with their mamas. And their mamas would raise them. And they would come to school and they'd say, boy, I'm going to tell you, when my daddy gets back from work, he's going to wear me out. I did so-and-so. And I found that absolutely baffling because my dad wasn't around, and so my mom had to do all the disciplining herself. So there was nobody to wait on, to come and discipline me. My mama disciplined me because that was what she had to do. There was no one else around to discipline. And so, those kids would say that I grew up with, they say, well, I don't mind getting whipped by my mama. She can't whip real hard. I'm like, son, you need to come to my house. How many of you had a mama that could absolutely shell down the corn? I did. Listen, and my mom had a philosophy when it come to disciplining children. She used to say, you can't just whip a kid a time or two, because that just makes them mad. She says, you got to whip them beyond getting mad so they'll understand that you mean business with them. And I'm going to tell you what, son, she used to, listen, I've been whipped with everything. Listen, listen, my mama, if I'd back talked, had any kind of sass in my mouth at all, whatever was laying around, that was the instrument of torture. You understand what I'm saying? Listen, my mama would pick up an iron in one hand, get the cord like that with the other. Anybody ever been whipped with a cord from an iron in the house this morning? No, get on your knees this morning and thank God. Because let me tell you something, son, that'll get your attention. I've been whipped with yardsticks. Anybody know what I'm talking about? A yardstick, big old thick piece of wood. She broke that thing down about 1-inch increments on me one time. My mama would, listen, she did not care. She did not care. She had a sense of disciplining about her. Now listen, did my mama go overboard? Yeah. Yeah, as soon as she pulled out the iron, it got rough. But she was raised old school too. And some of that stuff that she would do nowadays, it wouldn't fly. Right? Nowadays, and I started catching wind of that too. And she'd whip me and I'd tell her, I'm going to call Child Protective Services on you. And listen, my mama had Moxie. And I'd never forget it. She said, well, go on and call them because I'm going to whip them too when they get here. She said, they don't pay the bills around here. I'm the woman in this house. Ain't nobody going to tell me how I'm going to raise my children. And she had a stern discipline about her. Unlike today, where kids are allowed to do whatever they want to do. And we got a lot of teachers in here. And if you don't think that children are little devils, ask these teachers that come to Fam Church. They'll tell you. And they'll also tell you that when these kids get sideways in these schools nowadays, they'll call up their mamas, and their mamas won't get on the kids. They get on the teachers. And our society's breaking down because nobody knows how to make children mind anymore. And mamas, you can do that. I've got trust and faith and confidence in you. You can make your children mind. You say, well, Pastor John, I just don't know how to do it. Listen, you can figure it out. I've been to the circus. They make lions jump through hoops of fire. You can make your kids mind. You hear me? If they can take a wild animal out of the jungles in Africa and tame that thing to jump through a hoop of fire, you can make your kids mind. My mama threatened to put bars on the door. I mean, listen, from early on, she used to wear me out. Discipline. There wasn't no cutting up in a store. You didn't even think about it because you were told in the car before you ever got in the store, don't ask for nothing, don't look at nothing, because you ain't getting nothing. Can I get a witness in the house? And do not break that code when you got in the grocery store, because look, kids nowadays, the mamas nowadays, well, you just wait till I get you home. Nope. In the cereal aisle, my mama would shell down the corn. She did not care. Discipline. So mamas, discipline your children. And I can hear people now, they probably start writing in the family church, are you telling parents to whip their children? Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you to do. Of course. The Bible is the Word. And the Word says that there is foolishness bound up in the heart of a child. And that foolishness that's bound up in the heart of a child must be driven far from him. Well, how? Come on. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure this out. How do you drive foolishness out of a child's heart? With a belt. Now listen, I'm not telling you to beat your children to the point to where they're black and blue. That's called abuse. And listen, and I get it too. There's some kids, all you have to do is just look at them. and they melt. I got kids like that. Just give them a stern look and they're off to the races. You ain't got to do that. Listen, there are other kids, okay, who's going to grow up to be some kind of serial killer. Timeout don't work on them little devils. You hear me? So there's some kids, you gotta put it on them, and it's just the way that it is. This new society in which we live, where we turn everything that works upside down, is bizarre. I heard somebody talking about it today. Every new idea that comes out, every novel idea that comes out, necessarily isn't the way to go. You know, before you know it, they're going to be telling us to eat food in the bathroom and use the bathroom in the kitchen. It'll be like, yeah, that's a novel idea. I've never tried that. Let's try it. It's like, you don't have to do that. We know there are some things that work with raising children. And mamas, God bless you. Especially you single mamas. God bless you. I know you got your hands full. But I'm just here to tell you, I'll lock arms with you, girl, because I know you got it in you to do it. So God bless you for continuing to raise them children, right? In the good ways. Because I'm telling you, that's what matters at the end. So God bless you for a sense of discipline. I'll tell you something else my mama instilled in me. Respect. Respect. That's kind of foreign anymore in our culture today. Because how many of you know nowadays, if you don't look like me, if you don't vote like I do, if you don't watch the same news broadcasts I do, if you don't think like I do or go where I go or do, then I'm not going to respect you. Whatever happened to letting people be people and to living and let live and to respect folks? My mama, she used to whip me, as I told you, and I remember the thing that she used to tell me when she was whipping me. You know, she used to grab me because I'd try to run. We'd do this deal. Anybody ever been whipped in a circle? And what she used to tell me when she was whipping me was this. She says, you ain't got to love me, but you're going to respect me. You're going to respect me. And I'm here to tell you, mamas, for whatever reason, a lot of that stuff is laid down in your lap. Teach your children how to respect folks, no matter what they look like, no matter who they are. We've all been made in the image of God. Can I get a witness? And the old poem still stands true. You've never stood in that man's shoes, nor seen things through his eyes, or stood and watched with helpless hands while the heart inside you dies. So help your brother along the way, no matter where he starts. For the same God that made you, made him too, these men with broken hearts. You don't know where people come from. You don't know what their life experiences have taught them. You don't know what they're going through at home. You got no idea what kind of home life they were raised in. No matter what, we're still human beings, made in the image of God. And we still need to respect people for who they are, right? So let's learn to respect one another. And mamas, you got an unbelievable job ahead of you, teaching these young people, your children, about the wonderful aspects of respecting people along the way. So God bless you for that. Look at here. Serving others. Oh, I used to hate my mama for doing this. How many of you loved those delicious lie-ins when you were a young person on Saturday mornings till about noon? Anybody remember those? Yeah, me neither. My mama wouldn't let me sleep late. She was always getting me up in the morning to go serve others. She'd come in there and wake me up early in the morning. And she'd say, John, wake up. And I'd say, what is it, Mama? She said, get up. I told Mr. Smith you'd go cut his grass. I'm like, what? I don't want to cut his grass. She says, well, he's got a lawnmower over there. It's not working anymore. You need to go figure it out. And so I'd have to go over there. Grass was already this deep. Had an old lawnmower that wouldn't work. So we had to get the lawnmower out, had to work on the lawnmower an hour, right, before you could ever start to cut grass. And she was always obligating me to go do work for people. But how do you know that's good for young folks? It's good for young folks to get their lazy rear ends out of the bed and go put them to work somewhere. It's a 5-letter word called labor. L-A-B-O-R. It's good for you. And it didn't matter if my mama had me up going and cutting Mr. Smith's grass. Didn't matter if she had me going to some old man's house to pick his peas. Whatever it was, my mother made sure that I got up in the morning and was helping one another and to serve one another. And so, hey, mamas, listen, I've got a little old homestead over there. I'm just giving you a hint. I got a little old homestead over on Jamestown Road. If you need a place for your young people to come work, come see me after church, and we'll put them to work, okay? If you don't know where to put them, I've got something. Listen, I'll put them to work doing something. If you can't find a place, come send them my way. We'll take care of it. I want your kids to learn how to serve one another. Well, let's look and see what else my mama had to teach me. Love and mercy. And mercy and love. Hey, listen. When my dad took off and left as a kid, my mama had some hard decisions to make, and we'll get that in a moment. But money was hard when I was coming up. And the one problem that we always had was with lawnmowers. We just couldn't get a good mower. So there was a guy, miraculously one day, showed up at our house and sold my mama a lawnmower. Now this old lawnmower was a good mower, and he sold it to us, and we were actually on our way somewhere, and this guy showed up, sold us this lawnmower. My mom thought, oh, well, listen, the angels have visited me today. So she gave him some money for this mower, and we left. Well, when we got back, guess what? The mower was gone. And we were like, where'd the mower go? We thought somebody just showed up and stole it. No, what it was the guy who come and brought us the mower and sold it to us was on about an 8-day drunk. And he come back and stole the mower and went and sold it to somebody else to get him some more money to keep the liquor rolling. See what I'm saying? Well, look, how many of you know the old thing? You can do a lot of things, right? But don't do nothing to your mama. Listen, you can say whatever you want to say, but if you say something to my mama, it's on. How many of you know what I'm talking about? So I thought, well, where does this little devil live? So I found out where he lived. Ha ha. And I started scoping out his house. Now, understand something, brothers and sisters. This is before I come to Jesus. Okay, so it's under the blood. So I got some of my buddies together, and I said, look, we got this guy who come over here and took this money from my mama, which you just don't do. And I said, let's go over. I said, I've done found out where he lives. So he's got this little old makeshift porch that's attached to his trailer. Let's ride over and hook to that thing and pull it off. They said, yeah, let's do that. So you get a couple of rednecks together, right, and a chain and some trucks. Damage, chaos is about to ensue. So we had to, you kind of fill in the blanks there. But the fella, before we could get over there under the cover of darkness and wrap the chains around the pillars of that porch and exact some revenge, right? Before we could get together that night to make that happen, he showed back up at our house miraculously, knocking on the door. And my mom come to the door, and there was a guy with liquor on his breath saying, I just feel like I need to come to apologize. I'm the one who stole that mower. And my mama said, don't worry about it. All's good. He said, I wished I had the money to give back to you, but I don't. And in that moment, right, with the Tabasco sauce climbing in my loins, and I wanted to exact revenge, I saw mercy. And I thought, my, isn't that something? So mamas, teach your children mercy. It'll go with them a long way in this world. How many know we need mercy sometimes? It's mercy, that's the stuff you don't deserve. That's what you get. It's what God's given us. See, love here as well. I can remember my mama, we lived in a community that was all white. And there was a few people that were just absolutely, were just giants in our home when I was coming up. We didn't go to church, but Jesus was a big deal in our house. John F. Kennedy was a god to my mama. So was Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. And so my mom was a product of the 60s. And she idolized these people, and I was trained and raised to idolize those folks as well. And we lived in a community in South Alabama that was all white. And my mom would always go out of her way and go into other communities and get people of color and bring them to my house so that I'd have people to play with that didn't look like me and didn't think like me. And that she showed the love of humanity when she did that. It breaks my heart when I look into our culture today where everybody sees everything through a lens of color or through this critical race theory or wokeism and all this stuff that's starting to blossom in our culture today. It breaks my heart to see those things. It made my mom roll over in her grave to know that you would look at somebody and judge them by the color of their skin and not their character and the content of their character. So my mom always taught me how to love people, no matter what they looked like, no matter what they did, that I was to love and respect people no matter what, that they were a human being made in the image of God first and foremost. And I wasn't supposed to ask them who they voted for before I helped them. And I wasn't supposed to ask them, what they did for a living before I helped them. Or anything like that. You help people because that's the right thing to do. My mama taught me that. And so mamas, thank you for teaching your children that. One more thing this morning on this Mother's Day. Hard decisions. When my dad took off and left when I was a boy, when he left, emotionally, physically, financially, gone. Took off. Just wasn't around. So my mom had a hard decision to make. She had to make up her mind about what she was going to do. Was she going to go to work to provide for me and my younger brother? Or was she going to stay at home and be there for my younger brother and myself? And so my mom had to make that decision, and the decision that she made was to stay home. She wanted to be there when we got home from school. She wanted to be there in the mornings when we left. And so you can imagine when your dad leaves and takes all the money and your mom decides to stay home and not work, how do you know money's scarce? So that's what I'm saying. So I've told y'all before, look, anytime I get up in the morning and go into a shower and turn on water and hot water comes out of a pipe in my house, okay, the day has started off right. You understand what I'm saying? The day has started off right. Because I grew up without indoor plumbing. It's a fascinating thing to me till to this day that hot water, Don, can come in my house and I can adjust it. It's crazy. Most of y'all don't have that experience. But because my mom made these hard decisions, right, it impacted me to such a degree. The class stuff that we see in our culture today, and that's why it has no place in the church either. So thank God, my mom, she decided to stay home. And it was hard. But I'm going to tell you, she was there every time I come home from school. She was there when I left for school. She was always there no matter what I needed. And I'm here to tell you, that matters to young kids. It matters when mama's there. I know today gender roles are all kind of screwed up and nobody knows what they are, and I get it. But I'm here to tell you what works best if you can do it. And every home is different. Every home is different. I get it. And everybody's got to do what works for them. But I thank God my mama was there when I was coming up. Made a big deal and made a big impact in my life. And so my heart really goes out to some of you single mamas in here. And those of you single mamas who are watching by video today, God bless you. Listen, I'm with you. I know it's hard raising. Single moms, I'm looking at some of you this morning. I know it's hard. It's tough. You got to be both mama and daddy. You got to be the bread maker and the disciplinarian and all in between. I want you to hear from me. Maybe you haven't been told lately. Listen to me. You're doing an outstanding job. I know all of it's falling on your shoulders. Keep going. You can do it. You can do it. One day, your children are going to rise up and call you blessed. That's going to happen. They will. So keep being mamas. I'm telling you, we need more moms doing their thing in the world today. And from my heart to yours, Happy Mother's Day. Amen? Amen. And happy Mother's Day to everybody who's watching as well. Well, do me a favor and stand to your feet. Let me bless you today in the name of the Lord. Y'all go and enjoy yourself today. And have a good time, please, today. God bless you. Well, raise your hands towards the heavens and let's bless the Lord today. Now, may the Lord bless you, and may God keep you, and may the Lord make his face shine upon you. May God be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance on you, and may he give you peace. Receive that today in the mighty name of Jesus.